Stardate 2491.9. All right, I am approaching Grants, New Mexico. I don't have my new headphones yet, so I'm still just talking into the speaker on the phone. I'm going to put it in my pocket here, so the audio is going to get a little garbled, but hopefully that'll be the last time. All right, so since last time, I left Ghost Ranch and had a pretty quick 3-day run through some nice desert country to a little town called Cuba, New Mexico. And Cuba, New Mexico was, kind of down and out town. Had one motel that had been recently restored, so I decided to take a zero there and let my legs heal up, because my right knee especially has been having a little bit of trouble. Typically at the beginning of hikes, if you overdo it, something will go wrong. And if anyone listening has been following this for a while, I've got problems with my knees and problems with my ankles. My ankles are holding up great, but that very first run I did, where I miscalculated how much food I needed, out of the gate I was doing like 25, 24 mile days, when I really wanted to be between like 16 and 18 mile days. So now I'm trying to kind of recover from that mistake, and I've got a few levers. I can take a leave and just hammer it in the morning with a leave. I've got a brace that I can wear, but I can't leave the brace on the entire day because it starts to sort of like rub against the skin on the back of my knee and hurts too much to wear the brace. So I have to use the brace selectively, and then just trying to stretch. So it's really been my right knee, and I was hoping that one day zero in Cuba would have helped things enough, but the stretch after that is pretty long. It's a 106-mile stretch through really dry desert, which meant I had to carry a lot more water weight on my backpack, to sometimes, or 2 pounds definitely, sometimes 4 pounds, and even 6 pounds for a little while. So that's kind of what I'm dealing with in the way of like managing my physical state. It's funny, I can like walk straight, have this sort of like bouncing walk now, and it doesn't hurt at all. Everything's fine, there's no stiffness. But then if I do any sort of lateral movement, there's like instant sharp pain on the left side of my knee. So I'm not thinking it's hike ending or anything like that, just concerning. So besides that, Cuba was just like a little down and out town. I had one motel that had been redone recently for $120 a night. It was a pretty nice place to stay. There was like a Mexican grill at one of the gas stations that turned out to be really, really good. They had like $4 burritos that were amazing, fry bread. It was a bit of a hike out there. And there's a fried chicken place that was also like unexpectedly, ridiculously, amazingly good. So stayed there a day, recovered, supplied, and set off towards where I'm walking into now, which is Grants. And a bit of a highway walk. I don't know, maybe like 10-15 miles on the highway, which is also not great for ankles and knees. But then I got into just the most gorgeous desert section, like totally unexpected. I didn't think there was going to be much between Cuba and Grants, because on the map it just looked like empty, no tree cover. I was just kind of expecting to slog through it. But once I got up onto some of the mesas, I mean, you'll see the photos I think that was just it. I think that was the best part of New Mexico. It was totally stunning. Really hard to photograph because it's so big, and also it sort of camouflages everything together. What am I trying to say? It's like there's really impressive, large, strange structures that are exactly the same color as the things behind them. So when you try to take pictures of stuff, you can tell what you're looking at in reality, but when you take pictures of it, everything kind of looks like it's been flattened and they're just like random shapes, and it's kind of hard to make it out. So it was a challenge to photograph it. And let's see, in terms of people, I met one other guy. In the first run I told you about, I met this guy named Rocket. I've since figured out his trail name from his comments. And I met another guy who'd come up from Grants. He gave me some really good information. He was enthusiastic, super nice hiker. And he was basically like, yeah, all the water sources are good between Grants and Cuba. So that just put my mind at ease, like, right away. And he said, it opens up, but the desert's really nice. So, yeah, that was just a great encounter. He was going north as well. And later I met two guys. They might have been brothers, like in their 50s. And they looked kind of like not very experienced hikers, but they were doing, a hefty slog from Grants all the way up into Colorado. And just had these gigantic packs on their backs, and gave me a bunch of information about water sources, which turned out not to be true, but still nice guys. One of them had got a bunch of cactus spikes, I'm not sure what they're called, stuck in his ankle from one of the red cactuses, and he was telling me, like, whatever you do, don't touch these things, because they were like still stinging him. Some sort of like poison, I guess, was in there, still stinging his ankles from where he got tagged. And in terms of the water sources, yeah, it really hasn't been that bad. It would be fun to horrify you with stories of drinking from mud-filled, sort of like cow patty-filled ponds that may be coming later in this trip. But for the most part, when I roll up to, where they're putting out water for cattle, there's a little pipe that is, attached to a spring or some upstream source, and it feeds into tanks, and basically you can just fill up right at the pipe. So before the water even gets in the tank, it's been clean water. The longest carries are like about 15 miles. There was one I set up to do, I think it was a 24-mile carry, and that's when I had to take 3 bags of water, and that puts just a little bit too much pressure on my knees. That's when things really go wrong. So that's my biggest fear in the desert south of here, that I'll get into a situation where I have to carry 6 or 8 pounds of water, and when you just hike all day with that on your knee, or on my knee, it's just kind of like the straw that breaks the camel's back. But anyway, after I saw those guys, I was headed up into higher country, and the storm was rolling in, so I got lucky. A comment in my guide referenced like a little hidden away spot at the base of the mountain before I got up too high on the mountain, and I found it sort of tucked in between some trees. I got my tent set up just in time for like a really beautiful lightning hailstorm. They can be a bummer if you're not in a good spot, but if you're in the right spot, they can be really fun and just like very pleasant to hang out and let it pass. I got up, and it was just more beautiful days of hiking. That was the end of the desert section. So when I got out into the desert, it was just so huge and open, and it felt like it would just go on forever. And then there's like these really bizarre thin mountains, look kind of like mini volcanoes. And I thought maybe this is what the rest of New Mexico is going to be like. But yeah, after that hail lightning storm, when I got back up on the mesa, I was just back in the forest. And it's been mostly really nice kind of desert forest hiking. You're hiking on, kind of like rocks and sand, but there's trees all around casting shade. And it's just beautiful. Beautiful temperature. Doesn't get too cold at night. So yeah, in general, things are going really well. The town I'm about to get to, called Grants, is a very large town, and that's always a bummer because you don't want to spend a lot of time trying to figure out where things are and walk large distances in a zigzag pattern all over town just to get your laundry done or find a gas station that sells fuel or whatever it is, whatever tiny thing you're trying to find, sunscreen. So that's a minor worry. I have to figure out how to be efficient about hanging out in Grants. I also might take another 0 here and give one of my boxes a little bit of time to the town after that, which is called Pie Town. And it is a town that primarily exists to serve pie to people. And that's the food source in the town. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm doing about 23 miles a day. That means I get up around 6 o'clock, get hiking about 7 o'clock, and stop about 6 o'clock with a short break for lunch in the middle of the day. So that's the report. Oh, the other thing. Okay, so this is kind of interesting. The one challenge for me always has been cows. Trying to figure out how to get around cows, which cows are nice cows, which cows are mean cows, what a cow lick is, how not to accidentally set up camp in the middle of, in a spot where I'll wake up in the morning surrounded by cows. So that's always been a challenge of mine on every hike I've been on. But this state, for some reason, they've got more roaming bulls than any other place I've hiked before. And when you come into a field and there's a bunch of these sort of cows hanging around, there's almost always a bull looking after them. And they have legit horns, sharp looking horns. The big old bulls, they can be kind of grumpy, but if you just keep your distance, no big deal. But the younger bulls, they're excited to see you, and it's almost like they're treating it as an opportunity to test out their defense of the herd capability. So they'll kind of push all of the lady cows and the babies into a corner, and then sort of do a little jog around to kind of figure out a good angle to get at you, line you up, and then really look like they're gonna come for you. So the best strategy when you get into, or so far this is my strategy anyway, when I get into a situation like that, is first identify all the bulls, because there's not just one in the field. Weirdly, in the past, I always thought there should only be one bull in the field, otherwise they fight each other. This is not the case here. There'll be sometimes 3 or 4 bulls. So I got to figure out where all the bulls are. Make sure that there's always something I could use to put between me and them, like a big rock or a tree or something like that. And then just, walk way around them. And if they really are, starting to scope me out and line up and get ready, I just literally walk in the opposite direction. I just turn around, walk in the opposite direction, and keep an eye on them. And again, the young ones, it's funny. It's they almost seem kind of disappointed that they, don't get to have a fight or something. So I met a hunter on one of the roads. It was really funny, actually. He was on like an electric bike with big wheels. So in this, with our like high-tech stuff these days, the hunters have all been upgraded. So on the horizon coming towards me, I saw this like camouflaged silent thing roll up, and he's like, hey. I was telling him about the bull. Actually, he brought up the bulls, and I was telling him about a couple encounters I had. And he was like, yeah, they take the problem bulls from, I don't know, somewhere east, and they dump them all in these fields or around here or something like that. And I've heard that story 1,000 times, usually with bears. Like they take the problematic bears out of Glacier or out of Yosemite or wherever it is and dump them in the Bob or wherever you happen to be right then and there. It's like a common lore or like scare tactic, just repeated over and over. So it's a pretty like minor problem as long as you just like keep an eye out and just keep your distance from these guys. But definitely need to write a short story someday about all of the ridiculousness with cows and bulls. I've had all the experiences I've had. So I'll end it there. Everybody's good. And the next time I do one of these, I'll probably be near Pie Town. I think that's another 5-day section. Right.